We're restoring?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Okay. Do you guys have a bolster at your house or something of the like? Or
Yes.
yeah? Okay. And Heather Bush, just since I can't see you, I'm just gonna say if you don't have a bolster, you can use like what I sometimes do is I take like a rolled up yoga mat and then I wrap a blanket, like I roll it up inside a blanket to make it more cushioned, and you can totally use that. You could also just use, if you have at your house, pillows or something. You could also just take, if you have a really nice thick blanket, you could just roll it up or roll a couple of them up together. So if you don't have a bolster, and just for people later, if they watch this recording, they can make their own bolster. So we're gonna start. Oh, I should mute you guys. I'll mute you. We're gonna start in goddess pose. So goddess pose, if you're familiar with it, you can just go ahead, drop right in. Basically, it's just taking your bolster behind you, so coming from the back of your mat vertically. Your hips can be all the way up to your bolster's edge, or they might be a few inches away, like 6 to 12 inches away. And then just lay down so your spine rests along your bolster. And once you get down, if you want to adjust, adjust. So if it feels like too much in your low back, then scoot your hips further away. If you want more curve, more extension through your low back, then scoot your hips closer to your bolster. And then I'm taking my arms overhead, my legs forward, just really stretching. You can do the same if that feels good, or if there are any other movements. Sometimes I like to windshield wiper my knees. I think that feels really nice. So take a moment to just kind of move here and explore here if you want to. And then eventually, just in your next couple breaths or so, come to stillness. So just rest in a position that you can sustain for quite a while. Legs can be extended, maybe feet on the ground with knees bent, or even feet together, knees apart. And then same with your arms, whatever feels right. Excuse me. So arms can be extended out to your sides. Or if you want more grounding, you might bring your hands to your hips, palms down. So just take a moment to settle in. And I should have said this sooner, but if you do have any music you want to play at your house, just through your own little speaker, even some ambient music, feel free. Sometimes silence is also a good place to just settle into. Something I think that we don't really do enough is just be in silence. And it's never really silent, right? So if you're not using music in your space, notice what sounds are there. If you're alone in your house or alone in a room, I bet there are still sounds that you can notice, even if it's white noise. So my favorite thing about a restore practice is it's such an intentional practice. We're not practicing to get the deepest stretches we've ever gotten in our lives. We're practicing just so that we can have some space and time to slow down and be present with ourselves. Just feel what's going on in our inner space, in our inner world. So especially after the holidays, I feel like this is such a good place to go, is just back to yourself. And holidays for some of us are really exciting. And then also for some of us, they do hold a little bit of sadness. There's a whole spectrum of emotion. So see if today you can feel into everything that's passing through. So not just feeling into joy and positivity, but also allowing space for perhaps a little bit of sadness or loneliness to visit. And see if you can allow it to be there without feeling like it's this negative energy, without feeling like it's bringing you down, but just allowing it to be held, to be acknowledged, to be breathed into. So this is one of my biggest, I don't want to say pet peeves, but I guess kind of pet peeves with the mindfulness world is toxic positivity. Sometimes we act like if we just stay above all that negativity, then we can be positive all the time. We can be happy and joyful all the time. And that's really just not realistic. We're human. And as humans, we do experience, and we should experience, a full spectrum of emotion. And we can't experience our highest highs without also being open to our lowest lows. We can't experience our deepest joy without also being open to our deepest pain. So let this time that we spend just resting here, just breathing, not doing anything, just being with ourselves. Let this time be for you to just let whatever wants to move through you have space to move, have space to be felt. Give it your awareness, give it your breath. So we'll be in this position. It's called goddess pose. Heart just slightly open, front body slightly open and vulnerable. Just feel that opening and allow energy, allow whatever wants to flow through, just flow through. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths. Feel free to take big, huge inhales and then open mouth exhales at any time. So especially since you're at your own house, you guys, make this your own. You want to make noise with your exhale, that would feel good. Sometimes I'm surprised. Finding my voice, letting some sound come out actually feels really good. Ah. In this position, if there are any places that it feels like it's hard to get your breath to move into, if it's hard to breathe all the way down into your belly, or if it's hard to let your shoulders really expand, just get curious and then send your breath very intentionally into those areas. Last couple rounds. Good job, you guys. And then let's slowly find our way up into a seat. So you can make that transition however you want to. You can use your arms to just guide your upper body upright, or maybe you want to roll onto your side and then slowly lift your body up. So take your time, no rush. Or eventually you're just coming into a seated position. So comfortable seat, and if you have a bolster, you want to sit up on top of it, please feel free. So sit up nice and tall, arms down by your sides, and then just take a few rolls with your shoulders up, back, and down. So shrugging your shoulders up towards your ears and then rolling them back and down. Make that movement as big, as exaggerated as possible. And then next time your shoulders roll back and down, keep them there. So sitting up nice and tall, shoulders down away from your ears. Let your right ear fall towards your right shoulder. So just gently. Make sure you're not shrugging your shoulder up towards your ear, but you're just letting your head be heavy. Your ear fall down. You might explore just slightly turning your chin down towards your chest or tilting it down, or ever so slightly tilting it up. So not moving your head, but just tilting your chin up or down ever so slightly. And then another addition, if you want, would be to reach your left fingertips out to the left, slightly down towards the ground. And you can reach them a little bit forward, a little bit back. And just notice how that changes just a little bit where you feel this. If you want, you can even take your left forearm across your low back. Final option, only if you want to take it right hand to the side of your head above your left ear. Gently press your hand into the side of your head, but at the same time, press your head back up into your hand. So there's the most gentle resistance. Then breathe into the side of your neck, that space between your left ear, left shoulder. Everything as soft as possible. Big, expansive inhales, long, slow exhales. So I never cued you into Ujjayi breath. You're welcome to use it if you want. If you'd rather just breathe in your own way, just make it slow and deep. I love Ujjayi, so I like using it in Restore. Some people just like to use their own style of breath for Restore, so you choose. Let's take one more big, deep breath here. And then leave your head exactly as it is, but both arms down by your sides. Roll your chin all the way forward towards your chest. And then just take a moment here. Pause. Think of breathing into the back of your neck. Visualize your breath moving into the back of your neck. You're not rounding your back. So you're still sitting up tall, but you're just letting your head drop down, your chin towards your chest. And then if you want to, you can start to draw little smiley face shapes with the crown of your head side to side. So over towards left shoulder, back down over towards right shoulder. Make this slow and try not to move your shoulders. Just moving through your neck and your head. Slow, deep breaths. And we're all going to bring our left ear over to our left shoulder. So if you're taking those smiley face shapes, next time your left ear moves towards your left shoulder, keep it there. Make sure you're still sitting up tall. So check in with the length in your spine. Just let your left ear fall towards your left shoulder. Don't shrug your shoulder up. And then you can add on any of those little bits and pieces. So maybe your right fingertips start to reach out to the right, slightly down, and then slightly forward or slightly back. Maybe your right forearm behind your back, your low back. Maybe you tilt your chin slightly up towards the sky or a little bit down towards the ground. So very slow and intentional movements. If you want to, left hand up to the side of your head. Remember, as you press your hand into your head, you're also gently pressing your head back into your hand. Soft face, soft jaw, soft forehead. Breathe really big, about 3 or 4 more rounds here. Just being with yourself, noticing where you feel tension, where you tend to resist or tighten without even realizing it. And then breathe into those spaces. One last big, deep breath. Good. Keep your head exactly as it is, but arms down by your sides. Just like we did before, chin to chest, roll your head forward. And then if you want to, smiley face shapes back and forth. Or maybe you start to take full circles with your head. If you do, just be very aware as you take your head back. Don't just drop it back. Extend it back. Slow and intentional. Smiley face shapes or full circles. If you've chosen full circles, take a couple in one direction and then reverse directions. Slow, steady breath. And let's all start to make our way back to neutral with your head stacking right over your spine. Good job, you guys. All right, from here, we're going to actually come into a forward fold. So take your bolster and place it underneath your knees like so. And if you want a little more in your hips, a little less in your hamstrings, you're gonna take your feet out wider. So that's gonna make it almost like a happy baby, right? If you want it more in your hammies, specifically, bring your feet closer together, but you're going to wanna make sure you don't let your toes roll out to the sides, but you're imagining that you're trying to work your inner thighs down and your sit bones broad, so out from under you. So that's what you're going for if you're trying to work your hamstrings more. Since this is a restorative class, I would say don't go to like your 110% stretch. Go to like 75%. So give yourself that really generous bend in your knees. And maybe you're sitting up, pretty much sitting up and just letting your head kind of relax down and your heart kind of melt down. If you want to take it further, you're in more of a forward fold position. Maybe you're grabbing your feet. If you have something like a block at home and you want to place it underneath your forehead for some support, you could do that. You could use a pillow as well. You do not have to. I personally like to just let my head be heavy and relax. And then really specifically feel your breath in your back body. See if you can feel a rise and fall in your back body with each breath. So while you guys be here and breathe here for a few rounds, probably about 10 to 15 breaths. So really let yourself settle in. I'm going to read to you. So if you come to my class often, you've probably heard me quote this guy quite a bit, but his name is Corey Muscara. Lately, he's been one of my favorite meditation teachers. And he spent some time as a monk. I don't remember how many years, but he says he made this list and he said, like, these are all the things I learned as a monk. And I read them and I loved them so much. So I'm going to read some of them to you. I won't get through all of them while we're in this pose. Don't worry. Won't make you stay there that long. But I'll continue on through the remainder of our class as well. He says, finding your true self is an act of love. Expressing it is an act of rebellion. And all of these I like to kind of think about for a moment. So finding your true self is an act of love. Expressing it is an act of rebellion. Who you are is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Who you are is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Procrastination is the refusal or inability to be with difficult emotions. Procrastination is the refusal or inability to be with difficult emotions. Desires that arise in agitation are more aligned with your ego. Desires that arise in stillness are more aligned with your soul. Take just about 3 more breaths. Desires that arise in agitation are more aligned with your ego. Desires that arise in stillness are more aligned with your soul. Last exhale, maybe sigh out your mouth. And then slowly roll it all the way up. Head comes up very last. Once you're sitting up again, take your bolster, move it out of the way. Bring your hands behind you, feet out to the width of your mat. Roll your shoulders back and down, lift your heart up. Windshield wipers side to side a few times, back and forth. So rather than moving through this just quickly and mindlessly, if you use a lot of awareness, this can be really super therapeutic. So little flex in your toes. And when you take your knees to one side, really work your top knee forward and down. Perhaps take your gaze to the opposite side, kind of turn your shoulders a bit to the opposite side, your upper body. So it's like you're wringing out. You can spend a couple breaths if you want to on each side. Usually the slower we go, the more we notice. All right, let's come back to center. So finish the round you're on. And then back to center. We'll find our way all the way down onto our backs. So however you want to get there, and make sure you do have your bolster, or if you want to use a block, if you have a block, we're going to go into a supported bridge. So make sure you have a prop somewhere you'll be able to grab it when you're on your back. So once you get down onto your back, first find a full body stretch. So big, long, full body stretch, arms long, legs long, pull yourself apart. Big inhale here, and then exhale, arms down by your sides. Feet on the ground with your knees bent. We're not going right into our supported bridge, so give it a moment. We're gonna take some flowing bridges first. So arms by your sides. All 10 toes face directly forward, and your heels come straight down from your knees. All right, exhale, pull your belly button down and scoop your tailbone up. And then as you inhale, start to peel your spine one vertebra at a time off your mat. At the same time, reach your arms up towards the sky. And then top of your bridge, arms are all the way back overhead. Exhale, slowly set your spine down. Bring your arms up towards the sky, and then bottom of your bridge, arms return back down by your side. So flowing bridges with your breath. Inhale to lift. Reach up, reach back, and exhale to lower. Reach up and down. Stay really rooted through your heels and the inner edges of your feet, especially. So imagine you've got a block in between your inner thighs and you're hugging that block. You're squeezing it. Your spine is just like a string of pearls or a link, a chain link. So one pearl at a time, one link at a time. And then let's finish the round we're on. End up in your bridge pose. So your hips are lifted. And then with your hips lifted, grab hold of your bolster, or if you'd rather use a block, that's fine. Bring it underneath your sacrum. So if you use a bolster, I really like it because it's really supportive. It's not too intense and it's really cushiony. If you want it to be more intense and deeper, you can use a block on a higher setting. I love bolster myself. So your options are, and make sure if you're using a block, especially that it's right underneath your sacrum, not underneath your spine or your butt, but that triangular bone right in between. So this should feel relatively good. You should be able to relax, put weight there. So you have lots of options. You can hang out here just in your supported bridge. Wonderful. If you want to, you can extend your legs forward, both of them. If you do that, make sure that your tailbone is tucking under or reaching down rather than, so it's reaching towards the front edge of your yoga mat rather than down towards the ground. So we want what's called a posterior pelvic tilt rather than an anterior pelvic tilt. So you want to lengthen your low spine rather than crunch up through your low spine, if that makes sense, I hope. You can also, from here, with one leg extended, draw one knee in and grab hold of the front of your shin. I think that feels really, really good. You can do that on each side, a few breaths. If you want to go for legs up the invisible wall, and from your legs up the invisible wall, maybe you try some different leg variations like eagle pose or wide-legged straddle. You've got a wall and you want to use it at your house, go for it. So we're going to be here about 20 breaths or so. So you don't have to hold the same position the entire time. You're welcome to explore a little bit. I've got my legs up the invisible wall and I'm circling my feet around. It feels really good. So explore and get curious. Breathe. I'll go back to my little list by Cory Muscara. I really like this one. He says, you don't find your ground by looking for stability. You find your ground by relaxing into instability. You don't find your ground by looking for stability. You find your ground by relaxing into instability. What you hate most in others is usually what you hate most in yourself. And that's one of those ones that's kind of like, ugh. But I love it because I think that's what we avoid with toxic positivity. Everything is always perfect and always good, but really underneath it's not. So it's just taking a moment to looking inside. Why are we so judgmental of this particular person? And it's usually because we're judgmental of ourselves in that way. And if we can see it in a different light, all of a sudden we can have more compassion. So even when we do like the dark work, the shadow work, if you will, that's where we find also our greatest freedom. And like, that's where the light gets in. So let yourself go there and see what happens.
The biggest life hack is to become your own best friend. Everything is easier when you do. The biggest life hack is to become your own best friend. Everything is easier when you do. The moment before letting go is often when we grip the hardest. The moment before letting go is often when we grip the hardest. Take about 5 more breaths. The more comfortable you become in your own skin, the less you need to manufacture the world around you for comfort. And the last couple rounds, one more time. The more comfortable you become in your own skin, the less you need to manufacture the world around you for comfort. So breathe into that comfort in your own skin, just letting yourself feel into all of you. If you've got your feet lifted, slowly bring them back to the ground. So come back into a supported bridge. And then from your supported bridge, my friends, lift your hips up, slide your block or bolster out from underneath you, and nice and easy, roll it one vertebra at a time back down. Come back to those windshield wipers. So arms wide, tee out your arms, feet wide, mat width distance apart, and then just back and forth. So this time we're lying on the ground. Notice that long line when you take your knees to one side. So you can notice that long line from your opposite shoulder all the way down to your top knee. Your top knee reaches towards the ground, forward and down. So make these as intentional and mindful and therapeutic as possible. Back and forth. Good job, you guys. Finish the round you're on. And then come back to center. Bring your feet now hips width distance apart. And from here, we're going to take a variation of supine pigeon. So extend your right leg straight up towards the sky. And just really press up through your heel, flex back through your toes. See if you can even feel the front of your right thigh fire up, your quad muscle. Take one more inhale, press through your heel. Exhale, figure 4. So outer right ankle, top of your left thigh. And use the strength in your right knee or your right leg to press your right knee forward and away from your upper body. So you don't want your knee to come in towards your chest. You want your knee to press forward and away. Keep that and let your legs fall over to the left. Keep pressing your right knee forward and away. So you still have this really big stretch in your right hip. It's just at a slightly different angle. If it feels like way too much, you can let your right knee come in towards your chest a bit. But the more you press it forward, the more you'll feel that stretch in your hip. And if you're like, I do not like this, you can just come back to your regular supine pigeon, that's fine. Or if you feel so inclined to take a different variation of a twist, that's fine too. And just take some big, deep breaths, about 5 of them. Last couple. Open mouth exhales if you want. And then slowly lift your legs back to center. Ooh. Take your right leg straight up towards the ceiling again, towards the sky. Roll out your ankle, point and flex, roll it out. If you're rolling it out, other direction. Flex, so dorsal flexion once again, pressing up through your heel. Tee out your arms as slowly, mindfully as possible. Lower your right leg all the way forward and down to the ground. Once your right leg is on the ground, draw your left knee up towards your left armpit, hands around the front of your left shin. Give your left knee a big squeeze towards your left armpit. If that's too much, back of your left thigh is fine. So big squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as you breathe into your belly. Big Buddha belly breath. Release your left leg, full body stretch, arms long, legs long. Inhale. Exhale, draw your knees in, gentle rock from side to side. Massage your low back against the ground. Good job. Set your feet on the ground, knees bent. Extend your left leg straight up. So plant your foot on the ceiling, stomp it on the ceiling. Flex your toes back. See if you can get the front of your quad, your front of your thigh, your quad muscle to turn on, to fire up. One more inhale. Good strong leg. Wendy, exhale. Supine pigeon. Yeah, so outer left ankle, top of your right thigh. Same thing. Press your left knee forward and down, so away from your upper body. You can use your hand to press your knee if you want to, or you can just use the strength in your left leg. And then when you're ready, we're going to take it into a twist. So arms out to both sides. Let your legs fall over to the right. Keep pressing your left knee forward and away. Keep flexing your left toes and actively pressing your outer ankle onto the top of your thigh. So it's like you're super gluing or cementing your ankle onto the top of your thigh. Breathe. Soft face. Soft jaw, forehead, cheeks. Couple more. Open mouth, exhale if you want. And then when you feel pretty even, I'll leave it up to you. Bring your legs back to center. It's like your legs weigh 1,000,000 pounds all of a sudden. Extend your left leg up again. And roll out your ankle or point and flex. Just find that mobility through your ankle joint and feel all those little tiny bones, tendons, ligaments moving around. Maybe you're hearing some snap, crackle, pops. That's not bad. All right, dorsal flexion. So toes back towards your shin. Lead with your heel. Neutral spine, strong left leg all the way down super slowly. And then once your left leg is on the ground, right knee towards your right armpit, hands around the front of your right shin or the back of your right thigh to modify. So imagine there's a heavy sandbag on top of your left thigh. Draw your right knee up towards your armpit and give it a big, huge squeeze, 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 squeeze. Big, huge Buddha belly breath. And then release your right leg. One last full body stretch. Arms long, legs long. Draw your knees in. Gentle rock from side to side. Low back massage. And let's take another supine twist. So either just let both of your knees fall to the right, left arm out to the left, or if you want to, I like to take my bolster on top of my legs like this. So it's just like a very gentle pressure, really lightweight. That might be too much. If it is too much, the other option would be to take your bolster in between your legs. You just sandwich it in between, and that will keep your hips in a really nice alignment. It doesn't feel like it's overdoing it. So you choose, or if there's some other variation of a twist that your body is calling for, please don't let me stop you. We'll be here, let's say about 5 to 7 deep breaths on each side. So really big, deep breaths. And especially when in a twist, I know it gets a little bit harder to breathe all the way down. So really focus on breathing into your low belly and your low back. I'll give you a couple more. An interesting thing happens when you start to like yourself. You no longer need all the things you thought you needed to be happy. An interesting thing happens when you start to like yourself. You no longer need all the things you thought you needed to be happy. The belief that there is some future moment more worth our presence than the one we are in right now is why we miss our lives. The belief that there is some future moment more worth our presence than the one we are in right now is why we miss our lives. Take one last breath on this side. And then slowly bring your legs back up through center. I would say rock it out gently, or maybe even give your knees a big squeeze in. You can lift your head up, curl into a little tiny ball, or a little tiny, like you're putting your body into a little egg. Get small. If you want, go for it. Full body stretch if that's calling to you. And then when you're ready, legs go left. Use your bolster however you'd like to, or not at all. I'll give you a couple more on this side. There is no set of conditions that leads to lasting happiness. Lasting happiness does not come from conditions. It comes from learning to flow with conditions. There is no set of conditions that leads to lasting happiness. Lasting happiness does not come from conditions. It comes from learning to flow with them. Last, to feel more joy, open to your pain. So again, can't feel our deepest joy without being open to our deepest pain. So if you're willing to go one way, if you're willing to go into the dark, you'll also be able to feel so much light. And that's where we find the light. So take about 3 more breaths on this side. I'm enjoying you. All the way down into your belly. I'll leave it up to you. When you feel pretty even on both sides with your twists, ease your way back to center. And again, just take a moment to neutralize anything that calls to you, anything that your body is wanting. And then everybody find a happy baby pose. No rush. So in your happy baby, rather than rounding your spine, try to find neutral. Pull down with your arms, press up through your heels, flex your toes. You can rock it out gently. You can extend one leg, then the other leg, both at the same time. And then I'm going to invite you to take your final Shavasana in either the pose we took at the very beginning of our practice. So if you feel like you want another heart opener, this is a really nice pose just to counteract all of the kind of sitting and rounding and forward movement that we do during the day, driving a car, sitting on a computer, looking on our phone. So goddess pose, just gentle heart opener. Or if you're like, I've had enough of that, I want a nice neutral spine. I really love the bolster just under the knees. So if you're going real easy on your low back, this is really nice, I think. Bolster under your knees and just laying down. If you have something at home, like a eye pillow or eye mask to cover your eyes, or just even grab like a sweatshirt or something, put it on top of your eyes, or if you have something special you like to do for Shavasana, again, like turn on music or light Palo Santo, or grab like your favorite essential oil and take a big sniff. You do you. And let's just take one really big falling out breath together. And then after this big breath, just let your natural breath kind of take over. So next time you inhale, fill up as big as you possibly can. When you think you're full, see if you can take an extra little sip. Open your mouth and feel free to little noise come out. Big sigh. And last, I'll give you one last little thought as you drop into your Shavasana. Practicing stillness is not about privileging stillness over movement. It's about our capacity to be still amidst our impulses. It's about choice. Practicing stillness is not about privileging stillness over movement. It's about our capacity to be still amidst our impulses. It's about choice. So as humans, yes, there are a million things that we could think of to do right now if we wanted to. I even have those people in my class that during Shavasana, they do sit-ups because they didn't get a hard enough workout. And it's like, give yourself a moment to just do nothing. That is a huge practice, especially if you're a person who can't stop moving. So just slow down, be still. And even when you want to scratch that itch, even when you want to send that text message right this second, take a breath and just stay a little longer in stillness with yourself, with your emotions, with those impulses, and see them rise and see them go. Let them go. Realize that right here in this moment, you have time and space to just be with you and connect with you. And that is so valuable. So use it, give that to yourself, be your own best friend in this moment. Shavasana. Let's take 3 breaths together. So next time you inhale, fill up as big as you can. Hold for just a moment at the top. And then big sigh. 2 more like that, fill up. Big, huge inhale, bigger than you thought you could. Let it go. Last one, huge inhale. Sigh it out when you're ready. And slowly start to find a transition on either side, fetal position. Take a moment resting on your side body. This is nurturing pose, breathing into your back body, the back of your heart. And just letting everything kind of settle inside of you, everything from our practice, anything you want to take with you, remember, let it just absorb into your being. Maybe you visualize that in some way. And then use your arms to guide yourself up into seated meditation one last time. So sit up tall. Close your eyes. And if you like, inhale your arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. And if you choose, you can just bring your hands to your heart, however you want to. And then bow your head to your heart. Acknowledge yourself for taking time out of your day to get curious about your inner world, to slow down and tune in, to be still, and just allow for everything inside of you to be noticed and acknowledged and allowed. Thank you so, so much for letting me guide you through this practice. The light in me sees and reflects the light in you. Namaste. All right, friends. Love yas. Happy end of November. I hope you'll all join us again in December. No
Yay.
pressure.
Thanks, Katie. That was so great.
That
You're
was
so
great.
welcome. Thank you.
You should send them to us.
Oh, they're so good, huh?
I brought my mom.
Your mom's here? Hi, Mom.
Her name's Lena.
She's just hiding over there. Was she doing yoga?
She was doing the whole class with us, but she was laying down most of it. So it was
so
great.
Cute. I love that. Thanks, Mama.
I will be there in December, but I have to do the videos because I'm going to be out of town. So I can't join live. So when you don't see me, just know that I'm still going to be there.
Okay. Well, we'll have the recordings up.
Thank
you guys. Love you guys.
So great.
See ya. What, Barbara? You're muted. You're muted, but I love you and I'm sure you're saying nice things.
No, I was just saying thank you. It was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
What I needed.
Good. I'm glad. Thanks, Barbara. See you next week.